What's up, guys? Iceboy here. So in this video, I'm going to go over some items that are very useful for when you first begin your journey in Diablo 2. This is somewhat in anticipation for how Diablo 2 Resurrected is coming out soon, because a lot of things in that game so far and away are going to be just how they were in vanilla LOD. Just a few minor changes, some graphical enhancements, and all the characters are now husky as fuck men. So basically the items, as far as I see it, are going to be the same fucking items. And I don't think they've touched any of the items as far as I know. They're going to have an expanded stash, in a shared stash, and I actually think they should allow us to stack our runes, because it's fucking bullshit not being able to stack runes in Diablo 2. That's why I've been playing the modded versions of Diablo 2, like Project Diablo 2 or Path of Diablo, both of which in their current iterations allow for us toads to stack runes, all right? In a game that's all about finding items, why the fuck can't we stack our runes? Answer me that in the comments below. But to start off this video, I'm going to show you guys a shield that I always strive to make as early as possible. Usually I can make this shield an Act 4 Hell mode, all right, when you're old enough to use a Shale rune, which I think is level 23. I don't remember what level you have to be, but I think it's level 23 or something like that. So what you need a two-socketed shield. I prefer a bone shield. You can buy this from the bitch in Act 2. Farah or something, you can buy a two-socketed bone shield. Just exit town and come back until she has a bone shield available that has two sockets, all right? And it can't be a magic one. It has to be just a grayed out, plain socketed one for it to work. And then you have to find a Shale and an F rune, which I usually find in Act 4, normal mode. So your character is going to be in the early 20s, ideally, when you get to this place. Or maybe level 20 even. You could run tomes in Act 2 to get to level 23 or something. But this shield is very useful, because it has a great block rating and increases your chance to block, faster block rate, regen mana, a very important all res of 25, and a very important cannot be frozen. Because in Diablo, if you get frozen, your character slows down. I don't think it slows down casting in LOD, classic LOD, but it does slow down your walking and running and your attack speed, all right? So you don't want to get slowed down like that. So Cannot Be Frozen is a very important mod. You can later find this on the Ravenfrost unique ring. However, that unique ring requires level 45 in order to use it. All right, and this shield also has MF. So it's a very nice shield on many different classes and builds. Here's another thing that's important. You got to get yourself a Neth and a Lum rune. Now this is something that you're going to be concerned about later, because this armor requires level 37. So you're going to probably be in the early stages or mid stages of nightmare mode by the time you can make this armor. But it's very important because it gives you a ton of resist and some faster hit recovery and decent defense. So a smoke armor is quite easy to attain. You just have to keep an eye out for a two-socketed body armor. Now you can make it a light armor if you want, because then it won't hinder your run-walk speed. Those armors include Dusk Shrouds, the studded leather armor, and this applies to both all normal, elite, and exceptional versions, and a light plate, and a leather armor, and a hard leather armor, and a breastplate, I believe. So any of those types, be it their normal, exceptional, or elite version, they're not going to hinder your run walk speed. All right, they're all considered light armor. There are also medium weight armors, and heavy armors. All right, they look epic as fuck, but they do hinder your run walk speed, which isn't the biggest deal, but to some that matters. And I like to make them in light armors generally. This is also an item that is going to take a while to attain, but you can collect these runes throughout Nightmare in order to make Obedience. You need a 5-socketed polearm to make this item. This is generally made for mercenaries, in which case you can make it in an ethereal polearm, because the equipment that your mercenary has equipped doesn't break. It doesn't lose any durability. He can die as many times as he needs to, and that shit isn't going to lose any durability, all right? Any of his pieces. So you generally want to equip him with ethereal items because they just have higher base damage and higher base armor. But this item just does a lot of damage. It casts enchant on your mercenary, giving him a greater attack rating and a lot of fire damage. It gives him a faster hit recovery, and this item just does a ton of damage. It gives up to 370% enhanced damage. And it pierces their defense, so he's going to hit them even more. It has some crushing blow, a 40% chance, so we can actually chop away bosses with this item, percentage-wise. When it applies to their health, it'll just chop the shit out of his health. So it's really nice. And it actually gives a lot of resist as well. Holy shit. I didn't even realize that item gave resist all, but that's very important for your mercenary as well. So especially for a character who's a caster, like a sorceress, or just someone who's a bit more vulnerable, it's important and very beneficial to have a mercenary who's thick as fuck and who does a lot of damage, has a lot of damage output. Now I'm getting back to some cheap and more attainable items. Like Insight. This is an item that you want on a character who requires a lot of mana use, all right, and you can't get it back for whatever reason. All characters do regenerate mana, but it regenerates very slowly. And of course you can use mana potions, but that can become expensive and tedious. So what helps early on, when you don't have a ton of mana, is the meditation aura. And this helps endgame as well for a lot of builds. This aura gives you enhanced mana regeneration to quite an effect. So Obedience can roll, I think, a 12 to 17 meditation aura. And it just hundreds of percentage points of an increase in terms of its regeneration. So you put this on your mercenary, and it gives them the meditation aura that your character can take advantage of. So if you're a sorceress, you can cast teleport around. Your mercenary will teleport with you, so he'll always be next to you if you're teleporting frequently. He'll be in close enough range, generally, for you to constantly be benefiting from the meditation aura. So that's primarily why this item is very important. It also does a ton of damage, and it's very cheap to make. A Ral, Tur, Tel, and Sal rune. So all those runes can be attained by Act 5 normal mode. Often even in Act 4 normal mode, you can find all these items. So the tricky part is getting a pole that has 4 sockets. So that's something you want to constantly be looking out for. When the ladder resets and no one has decent gear, generally they'll make this in whatever item they find that they could make it in, which often can be a normal mode polearm or a poleaxe that they have to fall at certain item area levels. So I think you can find a 4-socketed poleaxe in Act 1 Nightmare mode or something like that. But you generally don't find a 40s polearm until at least Act 1 Nightmare, all right? So just keep an eye out for that shit because it's very helpful. And as mentioned, it does a lot of damage as well. So it's very beneficial. There are actually some melee builds, droids, barbarians, paladins, and shit like that, that'll make an Insight just because it does a ton of damage. It's also used in the dueling scene. You can make it in an ethereal pull for low-level duels and just beat the shit out of folks with it. So it's somewhat versatile, but primarily it's important because of its meditation aura. So pretty much everybody wants one on the ladder reset. So they're very sought after, but quite easy to attain, but it does take some work and time to acquire the parts needed to make it. So, oh fuck. Oh fuck, okay, I'll be right back. Alright, my bad. So, just to finish up this video, a few more important things. Spirit, sword and shield are very important for many characters, especially the sorceress. And a lot of folks make the sorceress early on, so this is really important. You can often make the sword before the shield, because the shield requires a monarch, which is an elite version of the kite shield, which you're not going to find until hell mode. Whereas you can find a 4-socketed sword generally in Act 1, Act 2 Nightmare. So you're generally first able to make the sword, but you can make it in both the sword and the shield. They just have slightly different attributes. But the thing about them is they give 2 to all skills, and they both give faster cast rate, and they both give some mana and life. So very desirable qualities that these items offer. So if you're a sorceress, you want to find the materials to make Spirit Sword. Many would argue it's an overpowered item, which is why in modded versions of Diablo 2, they nerf these items. They have them give just 1 to all skills, so not everyone's using them early on. But in Diablo 2 Resurrected, for example, I don't think they're going to nerf shit in that game. So you're probably going to want to get one of these if you can find one, and if you're just willing to use an overpowered item. So they're cheap to make. Tel, Thel, Ort, quite low-level runes. You can often find all 4 of these runes by the time you're in Act 5 normal mode. So again, the tricky part is finding the bases for these. So you can find a sword. Just keep an eye out for the crystal swords, the long swords, and the broad swords, all of which can roll 4 sockets eventually. The exceptional versions and elite versions of all these as well. But the thing is, you're probably going to want a normal mode one because they have less dex and strength requirements. So find the normal mode ones to make Spirit in. All right, you guys can trust Ice Boy's word on that, because you don't want to have to pump up dex on that bitch if you don't have to. And here's the thing. You can also make it in the shield. Now, this shield is often used end-game on the sorceresses because in LOD Classic and in what most likely will be Diablo 2 Resurrected, there are no other shields that any character can use that gives 2 to all skills. And in addition, you get FCR on this thing. And you get all res, and nice mana, and nice life, and a ton of faster hit recovery, 55%, I believe. So this shield is godly as fuck, and pretty much everyone wants like a perfect one end game. You can roll up to 35 FCR. I think it ranges from 25 to 35 FCR. That's not always going to matter depending on your cast frame breakpoints, which is something you should look into, because characters have different cast frame breakpoints. So in many cases, a 27 FCR Spirit Shield will be the same as a 35 FCR base Spirit Shield for your character casting various spells, because they haven't reached the higher tier breakpoint for their cast frames. But it's often not the case as well. Many times you will take advantage of a perfect 35 FCR Spirit, so it's just something to look out for. But nonetheless, these shields are coveted endgame, and everyone wants one as soon as possible. They're used on various builds. They're not very defensive, but for casters, they're very desirable. Often used on sorceresses, in some cases Javazans. Necromancers have their own shields that can give 2 to all necromancer skills. Paladins have their own shields that can give 2 to paladin skills. So pretty much the sorceress, the Amazon, and in some occasions the assassin. Droids, I think, wear these as well, like wind droids, elemental droids, things like that. So yeah, very, very desirable shield. Lower helm is very important as well. It gives 1-to-all skills, a lot of light res, and 2 mana per kill. You can often make this by Act 5 Nightmare. Just keep an eye out for any 2-socketed helm that your character can equip, because this is probably going to be the first piece of gear that has 1-to-all skills that you're going to find. And the mana per kill really adds up. That's another thing you can keep an eye out for, are Tur runes. You can just pop them in a basic body armor or helm if you're having mana problems, because then you'll get mana as you kill enemies. It can be very helpful. But the lightning res and even the damage reduction shouldn't be overlooked on this helm. They're very helpful, especially early on. That damage reduction really adds up. Every time your character's hit by a melee or physical attack, if it, say, would have done 20 damage, it would only do 13 damage. And those hits constantly add up. So this can be more valuable than a lot of HP, for real. So keep an eye out for that stuff, that damage reduction stuff. But this helm just has a lot of quality mods on it. The last item I'm going to show off is probably one of the first ones that you need to keep your eyes out for. A 2-socketed body armor that your character is able to equip, and a Tal and an Eth rune. Probably most characters make this in Act 2. It doesn't even matter what you are, because it's just so helpful. It allows you to run fast, and it has FCR on it, and faster hit recovery. Very beneficial. It's most desired, I think, by sorceresses, but necromancers as well, and casters. But even outside of casters, this item is it's very desirable. Often folks use this through Act 3, through Act 4, normal mode, and then they'll start maybe replacing it after, say, killing Diablo in the Chaos Sanctuary in normal. You'll want to keep an eye out for better armors, because it's pretty weak in terms of its defense. It doesn't have any added defense, but the other mods are just very helpful early on. When you're running slow, it's nice having some faster run walk. So if you guys will like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Appreciate you guys. And thank you to my patrons. May the Creator bless you and keep you. May your finances prosper. Those who support the Ice Boy, and more videos to come. I'll talk to you all later.